Ito bumaliktad na.
Baliktad lang tayo for 2 hours.
Ayan. Ayun yung ano nila oh. Jeeps. The Jeeps. Ayan na oh.
Believe it or not, this road goes all the way to Interstate 17. Yeah. It pops out about 19 miles south of Flagstaff.
Oh wow.
Is this the old wagon trail or whatever?
No, it was built after the wagon road.
Oh, okay.
So the wagon road, was that Sarah that asked?
Yeah.
Wagon road is right over. You'll be able to see it here in a minute. It kind of parallels this. The wagon road's in the 1890s. This road was blown and carved out of solid bedrock in the early 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps. And it was a great road,
Crazy.
sedan quality, 20 plus mile an hour road for over 50 years.
Oh.
Yeah, from the 30s to the 1980s.
What happened to it?
Erosion.
Oh, wow.
Basic. When it was built, it was a necessary road because all these freeways and highways didn't exist. By the time it's getting bad in the 80s, it's a completely unnecessary road. So they're not going to spend millions of dollars to maintain this road when we have all these highways and freeways. But no joke, my mom's family, when they'd be coming into Sedona back in the 40s and the 50s, if they were coming from the east side, from over at Winslow, this is how they came into town. And it was a perfectly good dirt road. You could go 20 to 30 miles an hour in a sedan. You couldn't do the curves, but they were shooting Chevrolet commercials on this road in the 1950s.
Huh.
Yeah, so, well, there was no Interstate 17 when this was created. There was no Highway 179. What we call 89A. Mountains. Mountains are formed. You know, mountains are driven out of the ground. All the big famous formations of Sedona that everybody comes to see, these are all remnants of this big landmass that's on the other side of us. You know, we're looking at the edge of the plateau right back here. When this plateau was first uplifted by tectonic plates roughly 70 million years ago, instead of the edge of the plateau zigzagging through this part of Arizona, you guys look at my finger, the edge of the Colorado plateau was down there several miles, and this was all filled in solid. This was part of the plateau. For about 70 million years, the edge of the plateau has been eroding back, and several hard chunks of the plateau resisted that erosion, and those hard chunks are the formations of Sedona. So they're big remnants rather than mountains. So in the world of geology, they have names for erosion.
She's gray.
She didn't hang out much.
No. No, I said she's gray.
Line that and the bat's head.
Oh.
But the thumb, which they call Queen Victoria, and I don't know what the name of they call that spire or the bat's head. Well, the bat's head I think is called the bat's head. And Scott told me the thumb of the mitten, the reason they named that, you know, that climb is called Queen Victoria is because it reminded him of her gown going down, the way it kind of billows.
Oh.
Yeah. That stuff was all first climbed by Alan and Scott in 1972 and 1973.
So what say do they really have in allowing it to
There's just an etiquette. There is an etiquette. Like over at Princess Rock back in 2008, if we go right through there on the Broken Arrow tour, just one morning as I was going in, there's like 6 stainless steel bolts coming down the rock reflecting in the sunlight. And at that point, Scott was working for Big Jeep Tours, a couple. We always have like a handful of part-timers. So Alan and Scott, these guys worked at Big Jeep when I first went to work here. Alan had retired as a geology professor. Scott had sold his outdoor store. They're in their 60s. They worked for us a day or two a week. These guys are living legends. Really cool to be able to hang out with them. And I went back to the office after that tour. I'm like, Scott, there's like 5 or 6 bolts right on Princess. And he's like, really? And then he went out on the same tour later in the day. He saw them. his first day off after that, he went, rappelled down, took all the bolts out, and he found out who did it.
Dapat tayo na lang.
But here's where, I mean, these guys, they may be legends, but they're pretty cool. They're very humble. Scott,
Wala
who
tayong
did it,
script,
he sent the
libre.
guy an email. And he said, hey, I noticed you put in a route there at Princess Rock, off the Broken Arrow Trail. You know, that's a highly visible spot there. You get lots of off-road traffic, lots of hikes. No business up there, and if you're not a good enough rider that you can't make money being filmed, then you aren't good enough to be up there. That's a direct quote from
Wow.
Simon. And that's the God's honest truth. If you're not, you know, Lars or Nate or any of these guys that make a lot of money doing the, you know, pro riding, stuff that's entertaining to actually watch. Like, why would YouTube pay to have, you know, why would sponsors put up money for those videos? They're good riders. I mean, they do stuff that I'm a good rider. I wouldn't even think of going up there.
That one said, sure, if we have a better shot.
If you need to pass it up to me, I can do it.
Oh. We are going to have so many pictures of rocks.
It's awesome. Keep your favorite ones. All right.
Did you your bike salon for
They'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Yeah. We went to Zion, Bryce. Where else? Until
Hey, there's a Black Diamond bike
Vegas.
trail
We
down
started
into
Vegas.
Bryce Canyon,
we
right
went to
outside the
Zion,
park
to
called Thunder
Bryce,
Mountain.
To Page.
I ride it once a
here.
year.
Next
It's
is to
unbelievable.
Amarillo and then home.
Can you imagine riding your bicycle down through those towers? It is, oh, it's so.
Wow, this is quite a ride to get married. Not that long ago, we were down there looking at this thing.
Is that the wagon train or the wagon?
Yep, so this is the turnaround spot, boys and girls.
Yes,
They look like cow pies, don't they?
they sure do.
And that's one of the few formations that actually does have. It's been called cow pie since 1890. So when the settlers, they get, remember the wagon road's right below us and then it keeps going. So the other part that I showed you is right above us. To them, from up here on high, looking down, it looked like cow pies. Whereas most of the other rock formations have different names today. That one still bears its original name. All right, I'm gonna come around and get you guys out.
Yeah, let's take a picture.
Yeah. Nice. Good
I
job.
don't know if I really do.
Good job, good job.
Good job, good job.
Watch your knee, watch your head.
Oops. Good job, Ryder.
Good job, Ryder.
Woo!
Vacation movie where the old lady died and they strapped her on the roof. That was filmed right above us. in 1983. And this is all in the shot. And you don't see any buildings. That's 1983. Okay, so there was a lot of available land back then. So imagine in this area you had a realtor, a guy named Don Pratt. And Don Pratt had one of those little Willys Jeeps. Think of the old U.S. Army Jeep, like what you'd see on MASH, the old TV show. And he's using the Jeep to show property. And with a lack of roads, there weren't hardly any roads in the area. With a lack of roads, Don was bouncing people over the rocks and between the trees and trying to sell real estate. The Jeep is always full. He's driving all the time and he's not hardly selling anything. And he wasn't dumb. He understood what was going on. He's like, whoa, this riding around Sedona in a Jeep is definitely, this could be a thing. And so he starts, in the late 1950s, he starts Don Pratt's Jeep Tours. That's our founder. That's the story of how this started. It started as Don Pratt's Jeep Tours. Now, in 1960, he and his wife were on vacation in Hawaii, and they wound up staying at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, which is still known as the Pink Palace on Waikiki. So imagine, guys, it's an all-pink hotel in Hawaii. And his wife was looking at the pink. You ladies knew there had to be a Mrs., a really smart Mrs. in the story, and it was Mrs. Pratt. And she looks at him and says, honey, I think people would remember a color like